Karen. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. And we definitely just want to check in with you and see, how things are going as you assumed the role of Tsumeb CEO. But first of all, how does it feel to be back home?
It's very exciting. I'm actually very delighted and happy,
Hmm.
and I'm ready to serve my people.
Absolutely. Now, I know that you turned the offer for this position down initially, and then later you changed your mind. What changed your mind this time around?
Um, First of all, I just thought it was time for me to move on.
Mm.
One is to grow career-wise, and yes, I have been a director of planning for almost 7 years, and I just thought that that was enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, you bring along extensive experience with developing issues. So, how will you leverage that experience into MIP?
All right. First of all, I'm going to translate the 22 years of experience
Hmm.
that I have gained at local level, looking at addressing my employer, the employees, as well as the community's concerns through specific strategies that I will be introducing. And then, thirdly, I'll be taking a participatory approach whereby I'll be creating a networking environment with the various stakeholders because I believe that it is only when we come together as a team, as a community, that we are going to do things correctly.
Mm. And, you applied for this position when it was advertised in 2019. And I'm certain that since that time, you've had a vision for Tsumeb and what you want to do and achieve there. So just talk to us about, what is or has been your vision for the town.
Um, First of all, for me, it's an issue of economic development. One has to look at improved service delivery.
Mm.
We have all noticed that over the past years, things have not been going well.
Mm-hmm.
The service delivery aspect has been deteriorating, and the communities are up in arms. So for me, it's an issue of improvement of the livelihoods of the community, and thereby also, just provide or ensure that we are attending to the needs of the community.
And on your first day, speaking about community, on your first day, you engaged the staff of the municipality in the community, right? So just give us a rundown of what you've learned from talking to them, what your takeaways were.
Okay, from the staff member side, what I have picked up, there is a need for strategic directives.
Mm.
Currently, or in the past, uh, maybe 3 to 4 years, somehow that was not really forthcoming. And the staff members in general, I think they are willing in terms for improvement.
Yeah.
A couple of things are not right, but they are willing to be informed and be directed as to how we should go about and really improving on that. And then I think generally they also just want to have a conducive working environment where people come together, you communicate, and then you iron out issues if there are any challenges.
Yeah, and as you said, they pointed out that some things are not right. And at this staff platform, you also said that everything which is not correct would be corrected. So, what are the first three things that you would like to work on during your first year in office?
I'll be focusing on the institutional framework. Um, that will now be focusing on the internal structures that are going to be in place, and then also looking at the revising of the policies because some are very much outdated. And I just feel that we need to really revise them and just improve a little bit on it.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, I'll be looking at sensitization of the community. I have realized that there is some sort of a lack of civic education, and that is now broadly. And we just want to really educate the community and inform them in terms of the purpose of the council and really how we can go along and improve as an institution and as a community.
Yeah.
And then the third one will be to better or improve the service delivery. Yes.
And I'll get into talking a little bit about service delivery and things like that. But before we move into that, one of the biggest challenges at the town is housing as well, right? So what is your plan on tackling this particular issue?
That is a very complex one.
Yeah.
One can also say that it's a national problem that we have in the country. But then in particular for Tsumeb, I'm actually looking at really broadening the revenue base for council and for us to actually ensure that we service more land. That we can also just do if we can really do some more in terms of debt collection. The other thing we are going to look at working in partnership with housing associations, which is already ongoing, but we just have to improve on that and just really to make sure that we are catering for the different sector or segments. We are also going to lobby for investment or investors, for this housing delivery based on the various incomes of categories of the people. So holistically, I think we are going to really have to improve and intensify the way of doing things at the council. But I just believe that if we bring everybody on board, if we explore innovative ways to deliver the right housing in the right places, I think that will help us a lot as a community.
Absolutely. And you mentioned, debt as well. And residents in Tsumeb currently owe the municipality 108 million Namibian dollars in debt for services, right? So from your previous experience, is this something that can tangibly be reduced? And if so, how are you going to go about ensuring that this debt for service is taken care of?
First of all, debt is also another problem generally when it comes to local authorities.
Yeah.
But I still feel that we are in a position to manage it. Now, we know that the causes are economic downturn, the people have lost their jobs, etc., and the high unemployment rate. But then what we are going to do is what we are going to look at. We are going to strengthen the debt collection strategy. We understand that we have various challenges when it comes to payment. However, we are going to encourage prompt payment from our consumers. The issue of collection of overdue accounts, that is also very much critical because for me, I think we have to really update the customer information in our billing system. You will find that some people have passed on 15 years, 20 years ago, but yet the information that is reflected or reflecting on the system is of that person that has passed on, which is not correct, and the debt is still standing. So we are going to optimize our communication process. We are going to really promptly mailing of invoices to the people, collecting on overdue accounts. We are going to encourage that prompt payment by consumers, the strengthening of the debt collection strategies, and we're also going to explore the incentives methods. There was an issue of a dollar to dollar that was introduced, that's cancelled. Yes, it worked, but I just still think that we can do more. And also the other thing that I really will advocate for is the possible writing off of doubtful debt as well as bad debt. Because it does not help much when you have a figure that is 180 million. And for example, for argument's sake, 50 million is bad debt. So it will be proper for us to just follow the procedures and thus discuss it at council level and then submit to the land ministry and then as
written off. What steps will be taken from there?
All right. When it's not written off, but I'm optimistic that some will be written off. It's an issue of really substantiating in terms of why you want the debt to be written off.
Yeah.
But then in an event that it is not written off, that is where we are going as to have to create a platform with the various stakeholders. We have business people that are owing us a lot of money, and I think the majority are in a position to pay. It's an issue of discussing, come to around the table and really come up with strategies of making arrangements and really paying off these debts. The communities as well, we say it's always better when you talk to people and really come to an agreement.
Yeah.
And agree in terms of how people can pay, because yes, a lot of people are also suffering within our community. They don't have the means to do so. So I think those will be the strategies, but also maybe we are going also to look at the issue of the prepaid water meter system. I think that will help us a lot. Because when you have conventional water meters, you are actually creating a lot of problems. Yes.
Now, as here on Desert Radio 95.3 FM, we are speaking to Tsumeb CEO Victoria Kapenda, who was appointed CEO of the Tsumeb Municipality and commenced duty on the 1st of June. And just talking to her a little bit about her plans for the town of Tsumeb and what she's going to go what she will do during her time in tenure. Now, Victoria, another concern is the cleanliness of the town, right? So how do you intend to improve the image of the town and also actively ensure that, there is cleanup campaigning happening in the town of Tsumeb?
First of all, I think it's an issue of really educating the community regarding the general cleanliness, and from them to refrain from littering and illegal refuse dumping.
Yeah.
Tsumeb was one of the towns that has been one of the cleanest towns in the country. It has been known as a garden town, but currently the status has changed. Now, we do have bylaws in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to really enforce those bylaws and for the perpetrators to be fined. Because for me, I just believe that the town is not getting dirty by itself. There are people responsible for doing that. And then the other issue is we are really going to improve in terms of collection of the refuse. We have to do that promptly and really just to make sure that we are doing a good job. Furthermore, what I'm going to introduce is perhaps the quarterly cleaning campaign, where we are going to come together as a community and really try to clean our town. And if we instill that discipline in terms of also educating or come together with our stakeholders, such as the school principals, and really just to advocate for principals when they are having their meetings, at school, just to also somehow educate the kids in terms of not to throw around papers, pins, etc. Yeah. But also to ensure that the parents at home are also aware of this and really talk to their children. Yeah. Because most of the time, it is the kids that are really throwing papers here and there around. And obviously, the elders were also done.
Victoria, as we begin to wind down, you have a lot of ideas, plans in place, things that you want to change. As you said, what hasn't been correct will be corrected. And with a lot of change, sometimes there can come hesitancy, be that from community, be that from staff. So how is your staff going to be accountable for, towing that line? How are you going to hold people, to what they should be doing, to what the expectations of them are to achieve these goals and plans that you've set out?
Okay, first of all, I have started to conduct meetings with the various categories of staff members. I have spoken to the strategic executive. I have also spoken to the middle management. Now, my idea is to speak to all the groups within the institution.
Yeah.
And I have shared my vision and principles with them. I have informed them of what I want and how I think we can go along. Obviously, you also create that platform where people can give you ideas in terms of how we can improve collectively.
Yeah.
So that's the started with. But the important thing is the finalization of the strategic plan of council, which is not currently in place. Now, when we have finalized our strategic plan, we are going then to really have the annual plan in place and then ensure that each and every leadership to say, this is what we are going to do. So we are going to have the reviews where we are going to double check in terms of our performances. So that will be across the board and also to have, on a weekly basis. We are going to have weekly activity plans and people will be reporting back the following week in terms of what they have achieved and the challenges they have faced in that particular week in terms of really ensuring that these activities are implemented. Now, also, in addition, we are going to have the monthly report, which will be able to cancel. And I think through that, we'll be able to really see whether we are achieving our objectives or not. But generally, when you create that understanding with everybody, and people know that they have to perform, they have to deliver, and if they don't deliver, they have to be accountable. And we all know that there are a lot of measures in place or procedures that need to be followed if a person, for example, is incompetent. So that is what we are going to do.
Absolutely. Well, Victoria, thank you so much for joining us on Desert Radio this morning and sharing your vision as you take the helm as the Tsumeb CEO.
Thank you so much for having me.